Hello, Ben. Good afternoon. Hello, Max. Nice to be here. Nice to be. Hello. So welcome on GITEX. Welcome for Ingram Micro both. Great to be here again. Yeah, 1 year later. One year flies by. And how was the last year for you? It's been a very busy year. In the industry that we work in, right? The IT industry is always something exciting. Last year, AI was hot and it's still hot, right? It is. There's been a lot of lot of things going on, a lot of advancements, a lot of interesting things happening in our industry at the moment. But it's really exciting. It's a fabulous place to be, and it's great to be at Dell Technologies as well. Super happy to be here in the Ingram podcast as podcast number one for you today. Yeah, it is. We opened the podcast series of the podcast today, and great to have Dell with us and our cooperation as always being fruitful and mutually beneficially for everyone. So how was the business the last 12 months or last year? Yeah, business is good at Dell globally. Dell Technologies, the business is growing. Our last quarterly results show some good growth across all the different lines of business that we have at Dell. We're obviously seeing lots of strong momentum within AI-based platforms like servers. So lots of sales going on in servers. We also started to see sort of the PC refresh come back as well. So we know that Windows 10 end of life is coming soon. We know there's going to be this refresh cycle. It probably hasn't happened perhaps as quick as we thought it would be, but we're starting to see that sort of coming through now. And we're expecting big things over the next 6 months, especially with PCs refreshing to Windows 11, obviously with Microsoft pushing Copilot and the specs needed for those. So we're expecting big things with the AI sort of wave momentum around that continuing on as well. And the general interest around the technology and how do we implement it and what does it mean and what do I do with it? Sounds exciting, but I need to know more. So I think we're in a really exciting time in the industry, at the moment. But that's one of the great things of the IT industry. There's always something. There's always something happening. Something that we were talking about 2 years ago, we're not talking about, and something new and fresh comes along. And 2 years from now, we'll probably be talking about something else as well. So yeah, interesting times. Great. I remember last time we talked about the AI, and it was just like the rise of the AI. We many people were start testing and trying the AI. Now we are more deep into this. AI is more and more becoming integrated into marketing, into our life, into our work. And sure, believe it or not, but this podcast room this year, it was completely designed and built by AI. Oh, so we put the configuration of the room, we put the number of speakers we expect, and the equipment we want to have, and it was built and designed and itemized better than the professional agencies we were compared with. Wow, I see. So, and that was, I think it's a really great indicator of how AI developed and progressed in the last 12 months since we discussed it last time. But can you tell us how AI is transforming Dell business? Yes, sure. You had maybe if I can say traditional products like laptops that were, I wouldn't say and remain unchanged for over the period of years because they were developed and they became the more powerful, more features. But what about AI means for Dell in the Dell business? Right. Well, I'm happy to say that we haven't been replaced by AI yet. We're still here. We're still real and we're still human beings. And I think that's one of the stories for me is really this relationship with technology. And I'll take maybe a high level. We've always had a relationship with technology for hundreds and thousands of years as human beings. It's just the technology that's been changing. So a year ago, we were talking about this thing called AI, and it's going to be so important. It's going to be so interesting. But now, as you said, over the last year, we've actually seen some real world usage of AI, even down to our desktops. At Dell, for example, we've just rolled out Microsoft Copilot to all employees globally. And now we're using the technology to actually get our day-to-day job done. One of the things I see is certainly working in a multinational company. I'm was born and bred in England, so I'm natively an English speaker. You're not natively an English speaker, right? So for you to take text from an email, pop it into Copilot, and just say, "Hey, can you just grammar check this, spell check it? Can you maybe reword it for me as well?" That's a great addition that will help you make you more efficient. And I really love the word Copilot from Microsoft because it really is something that is your Copilot. It's not something that's supposed to be replacing you. It's something that you're going to be working with. So we've definitely, at Dell, we've started to, I guess, use and experiment with the technology. We're obviously a large multinational organization, so we have to be very careful what we implement where we got 100,000 employees. So Copilot is one of the first things that we've done as an organization, just to help our employees better do research, rewrite some of their emails. But obviously the technology is out there to build videos, presentations, obviously a lot around content and content creation. And that was one of the big, I guess, worries in the beginning was anyone who's creating content is going to be put out, of a job. But I think, again, if you go back in history and you look at things like the Industrial Revolution and the introduction of these big, massive steam-powered machines in the textile industry, did it put people out of business? Yes, but also people had to pivot. People had to pivot their jobs and find slightly different jobs to do as well. So as far as what we've been doing over the last while, announced in May of this year at Dell Technologies World, was really more solidifying our relationship with NVIDIA and what we call the AI Factory. And the AI Factories is a series of products, server storage, laptops. There's a bigger story around how to use AI within your environment, because we found a year ago, and even today, people are excited about AI. It's like, yeah, it sounds great. What next? How do I do it? What am I going to do with it? And I need help. So they're coming to people like Dell Technologies to really understand, okay, I've got this idea, or you may have some ideas or some use cases. I've got all this data, and now I need to sort of apply AI to this data. So we have a concept which we call the AI factory. And just like any factory, right? You take parts, you manufacture something, and then something comes out kind of at the end. Well, this factory is taking customers' data and it's spitting out use cases for their environment. And their environment could be they have a need for a AI-based avatar, as an example. They have a need for some data manipulation, data crunching, other content creation. But they really, again, customers are still trying to understand, how do we now use AI in the enterprise? And that's one of the big focus areas that we have on our stand today. We've got various different partners: Microsoft, AMD, Intel, NVIDIA, and we've really got lots of different use cases and points of views around, okay, you want to do AI? How do you actually implement it now? And that's where I think people are right now. People understand the benefits. It's about how do we move forward with it as a technology.
Yeah, that will. I think that it will take lots of time and efforts now to educate people and to train people and to make this habit of using AI. Some people are early adopters, some are more conservative, and there is always uh, a tricky part of the each and every technology that is using the data from the corporate data that could be sensitive to the public
Yes.
to a personal data. So
Yes. Yeah.
what you can say about this concern about from the people and from the employees and from the companies, because even our companies, it was really cautious with managing the data till we got we are corporate and enterprise client of Microsoft, till we got insurance from their side, how and understanding how our data will be treated, safe, and processed.
Yeah, well, independent of AI, we've always been concerned about data and data security, and any company's data is really, the liquid gold that they have. So any leak of that data externally, for whatever intentional or unintentional, it can literally close down a business. So I'll take Dell as an example. We were quite careful what we've introduced as employees, making sure that employees have a very, very good understanding around the company confidentiality and making sure that they're using our own data in a very closed environment and not necessarily using it in publicly accessible chat GPT as an example. So I would say, look, whether you're thinking about AI or not, your data is very valuable to you, and making sure that you've got, procedures in place, making sure that people are not using external tools and using internal data on an external tool. And there's already been a couple of cases that have been in the media about, internal data that's being used, that's been leaked out there as well. So we're being very careful and considerate around making sure our employees know what we should and what we shouldn't do. And we don't necessarily have access right now to all the tools that are available. Like I said, we just launched Copilot, but that's within a very controlled internal on our, internal within Dell. So what we're getting there as Dell, and we'll start to adopt and embrace, more and more AI technologies going forward, as well. But security, 100%, it needs to be a big consideration for everybody involved, even in your personal capacity as well.
Yeah, great. Talking about the business landscape and what we see from many vendors, including Dell, how AI is changing the business landscape, and the deals that we're gonna see, it's sometimes like over $100 million.
So big deal.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. So from this standpoint, how you can see the developing of the AI and investment from the big industry? Is it started from the enterprise on this, like it was before building the data center, but now it's building the data processing centers, and how it is evolving? What can you see from the?
Well, today AI need horsepower. It needs high specification servers. It needs GPUs. It needs a lot of power, even electricity from from an electricity point of view. And these are all considerations that all enterprises are also looking at as well. If you think about the environmental considerations as well. So, okay, so we need servers, but we need more, higher spec servers. So that's more expensive from an investment point of view. These servers can also consume more power than perhaps your traditional server. So you have to think about the total cost of ownership of your data center. So I think there's a lot of considerations that manufacturers like us are also thinking about. It's like, okay, well, enterprises are having to invest, but also they need to make sure that they're really investing their precious dollars into equipment that's really going to, and they're not just jumping on the bandwagon. It's going to be technology that's really going to help transform their business. Everyone is there to serve their customers and their own employees better, and that's really what technology is for. And Dell has been championing sort of that message for a long time. And AI is just like another element to that as well. But certainly today, an AI PC is a bit more horsepower than your regular PC server again. And so those are considerations that all enterprises are having to think about, is around, the capital investment to actually build some AI infrastructure as well.
What do you think for the big enterprise, and maybe will come up then for the medium and then the small companies? What could be the best approach? Would be an investment in your on-premise hardware, let's say, or data processing centers, or it could be something like AI as a service.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think our point of view there, we think there's a lot of benefit around on-premise to have your hardware, in your own premises as well, from an accessibility point of view, from a latency point of view as well. So I believe we're championing the sort of the on-premise, but I think each organization needs to look at their own use cases and have a look at what really works for them. But we feel there's a real benefit in having on premise for sure.
Yeah, that's clear. I guess for the smaller size of the business, maybe the cloud type of the model or AI as a service would be a bit of more flexible, less investment, especially the capital investment.
Yeah, as a small business, you can't, afford multiple servers, data centers. So you're going to look for, other opportunities. You're going to look for companies that are hosting AI, as you say, AI as a service as well. So I think it really depends on the use cases, the size of the customer, what they're really looking for. And it's really down to us as an industry to make sure that we're catering for everyone from a small business to a medium business to these very large enterprises, and giving them options that they can use depending on their use cases, depending on their budgets that they have available as well.
Yeah. What do you think? Do we need to drive the adoption of the AI or developing the penetration of the AI technology to the business, or it should go natural way? Because from one side, it's evolving definitely. From the other side, we have at a certain extent we have some deficit of chips. The and on the hardware part, it's a stopping factor for many. And
Like
the countries they are even sanctioned.
Christians, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. So any thoughts on this?
Well, I think there's been with the hype around AI, there's been a natural like tidal wave of interest, around it. So I don't think as an industry we've had to promote it much because I think there's been a lot of natural interest. That has obviously had a knock-on effect, as you say, around the supply chain as well. And can we get hardware? Can we get the GPUs? Can we find even the right skills and consultancy skills on customers that are interested in the technology, but they want to know more? And I think the industry has been in a race over the last year or so to really, improve upon that. So as you said, there's certain countries that can't get the technology easily as well. So I think the regulatory, and maybe we're going to talk about perhaps the ethical side of things and some of the dangers as well, has been, I think, trying to catch up with the technology over the last year or so. So we're definitely in a more advanced state than we were a year ago. Believe we still have a way to go. Some of the bigger manufacturers, I believe, we'll see more technology coming from AMD, from Intel as well. Obviously, NVIDIA were out there first. So I think we'll still see a lot more regulation, a lot more technology innovation over the next 1 or 2 years. AI is not just this one thing that's just going to pop up and disappear. This is going to be something that's going to be with us for quite some time. And it really is. And I don't think it's really bad to say this. It's really going to transform our lives. And I think there are elements already that are starting to transform our lives. Even the use of something like Copilot. Like, wow, how can I not use this tool, ever again? If someone was to switch that off tomorrow, so it's already starting to infiltrate our lives. And then in, a year or two from now, it will just become, it's a thing we do. Copilot, I think, is a nice example, or similar examples. Sometimes you feel like maybe when you're using it, you might be cheating a little bit. But I think did we feel like that when we started to use spell check? Maybe we did, didn't they, Gim?
Or it's later. Sometimes we just website, the documents and everything. Yeah. The it's part of the regulation of this, not the industry, but this part of the industry. I personally feel that it's a bit of under-regulated as of now. And that's why we see, aside of the usage of the sensitive data and the information that sometimes might leak, but the ethical aspects of this, because AI, it could be considered as a tool, and with the tool, you can use it for good
Or bad.
or bad.
Is it?
So if there's anything that Dell is thinking, considering, developing in this way to prevent using the technology from hackers or all the others.
Well, Dell has always pushed industry standards. And I think in any discussions around technology, where's technology going, choosing standards rather than proprietary technology, Dell has always championed that particular cause. So I would believe any discussions that are around the usage of AI, we're going to be there for sure. We're going to be there. Is there anything specific that Dell is doing, Dell Technologies is doing? I haven't got any references, but I think you bring a really interesting subject for us to talk about here, which is around the ethical use of it as well, even just from a copyright point of view, people being generated as extras in movies. And there's been all these things that's happened over the last few years. Even that the industry of extras in movies, saying, well, if you can just digitally create these people, then you're going to put a whole industry out of business. And then I think the copyrights around materials, around people's images as well. I think there's a whole can of worms there that the industry needs to get our head around. And certainly, we are very open, as I said, pushing industry technologies and industry thoughts, and very involved in, how do we make this technology a technology for good rather than a technology not for good.
Yeah, that's really great. So maybe one of my last question is how AI is helping marketing, because we are in marketing.
We are.
Yeah, and I would say that from Ingram Micro 12 months ago on the previous GITEX, maybe half of my team were using AI.
Well, I'm quite interested to hear what you're doing as well.
Yeah, so as of now, outside of the podcast room that we have, I would say maybe 80%, not 80% of what we do, but 80% of day-to-day tasks is more or less involving AI. And so
Yeah.
it is fully integrated into marketing. Press releases, any content creation, some ideas, some of the go-to-market strategies, even developing marketing plans. So, and it's not only ChatGPT that is language model, large language model, but the other things, and even our graphic designers, they have Adobe, all the Adobe suite of the Suite applications. It is all incorporated with AI. So we are heavily using AI.
Well, I would say we are using it in pockets of the organization right now, but Dell is obviously a very large corporate customer. So when we're looking at tools that can create images, you have to really think about, what you're doing, and or any sort of content, or of any kind. We're certainly using it from a data point of view. We've got lots of data around buyer behavior and trying to predict where people are going to, it's the ultimate as a marketeer. Can you predict when someone wants a product or a service in the future based on looking at propensity modeling and data from internal and external data points as well? So we're using some of that technologies to try and give our company and our salespeople better insights into our customers and future buyer behavior. We're certainly looking at it from a content point of view, but we're also taking, I would say, more baby steps there at the moment. So, the my marketing organization are using, I mentioned before, we're using Copilot, but that's kind of where it stops at the moment. There's some trials that are happening at other parts of the organization, but it sounds like Ingram are embracing it quite a lot right now. So we will get there, absolutely. But I think we want to make sure we do the right thing. We want to be a little bit more cautious in our approach in the beginning, and want to be really, really sure that the content that we're generating or the usage of certain tools, like you mentioned, you're using Adobe. We really want to be sure that we're doing the right thing before we do mass adoption, within Dell. So it'll probably take us a little bit longer than Ingram.
Yeah, that's great. One of the once you mentioned the content and the images that we were using, sometimes what I felt as the transformation that already happened, at least at Ingram Micro, that we were either using the key visuals from the vendors that we already got, and we are sure on the copyright side we are safe. So the other option was to get some stock pictures and deal with the copyrights. But now with the generative AI, we can generate an image based on the prompt.
Yeah.
And scratch. Yeah, from scratch. And that would be free of the copyright.
Yes.
And the same with video and the same with audio. So you can generate it and you can feel free of any obligation. And that is that basically save lots of time
Oh yeah.
and funds.
Yeah, it's many years.
So that is something that we really, again, as you said, embraced and we really enjoy.
And that's great.
How fast it is and how easy and hassle free.
Yeah. And as long as you have the controls in place, so you haven't got, a whole bunch of agencies out there creating things that are off brand, and then suddenly something goes out to market and it wasn't really something that was in line with your brand or my brand. So I you definitely believe in the technology. We need to just do it in sort of a careful, controlled manner.
No.
Yeah.
Great. So I think we are on the right track. If we are further or just the baby steps or more, but I guess we are on the right track. With embracing the technology, still being on the front line, driving the technology to the business, to the usage, to the day-to-day usage, and that's great. So I really hope that this GITEX will be super successful for us as the others.
Yeah. I wonder what we're going to be talking about 1 year from now.
Yeah,
Actually, I think going to be a very interesting question. And for us marketers, maybe a message to other marketers that may be listening is really, embrace it. Something that we say is be curious, understand it, play around with it in your personal capacity. Don't be afraid of it.
don't be afraid of.
Don't think that it's necessarily going to put you out of job. And that's why I really like this word up here, co-pilot. Think of it, the AI as your co-pilot, not something which is going to take over you as the pilot, but it's going to be assisting you, and it's an assistant to you, and they are an assistant to you, not to replace you.
That's great. And one of the statements I can make that in the last 12 months, we have not lost any of the marketing job to the AI, which gonna be kind of not an insurance, but to give a bit of more confidence to people to consider it as co-pilot, as assistant to their creativity, to use as a tool, not to be afraid of.
Exactly. And going back to one of the messages I said right at the very beginning, we've always had a relationship with technology. Technology's changed over the years, but we're still here as human beings. We're still relevant. And it's about embracing and understanding how do you work and how do you pivot when these new technologies happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, Max.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you for this podcast, sharing the ideas. Was great talk, and good luck for the whole GITEX week.
Thank you. And thank you to Ingram. Ingram's a very valuable partner to us globally at Dell Technologies. And it's wonderful to be here again. And thank you for your support across the whole CEEMETA region. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.